Al Kadosh, Boker Or, Masechet Ketubot Daf Gimel Amud Aleph 33a1. So says the Gemara, Chovel v'chavero nami. If you're going to tell me that this is the reasoning of Rabbi Yochanan that he doesn't hold of this Gzera Shava, so 1 second. So then Chovel v'chavero nami. In Ken, if so, if you're going to tell me by Chovel v'chavero there was Ribta Torah mefurash that he has to pay and not get the lashes, in Ken bitalta lo Yosif ben Yosif. You annul the concept of lo Yosif ben Yosif. Right? Edim zomim nami. Also by edim zomim in Ken bitalta ve'yain bina kot rasha. You annul the entire concept bina kot rasha, which means that if you're going to tell me now that you pay and you don't get lashes, it's written mefurash by edim zomim you get lashes. It's written mefurash by chovel bechavero lo Yosif la'akoto. Right? Arba'im yakenu lo Yosif la'akoto. So what? You're going to annul those psukim as well? What's going on? Ela edim zomim efshar lekayma be'brusha mechlutza. You do have cases where you could still be mekayem by edim zomim, for example, the concept of malkut. You know when? By ben grusha mechalutza. Why? There, the Gemara Masechet Makot the Bet Amud Aleph says that when somebody testifies that somebody else is a ben grusha mechalutza, we don't say en omrim she'aseh ben grusha mechalutza tachtav ela loket 40, but rather he gets flogged 40 lashes. Why? Because even though kasher zaman v'lo kasher asa, there we cannot fulfill it. Because what are we going to do? We're going to make you into a halal. You were never a halal. Right? You're nothing. You wanted to make him and his children into halalim. Lo velo lezaro. They can't make it back to you. So there's going to be a certain cases by edim zomim where you cannot do hazama. Meaning, what is hazama? What goes around comes around. You wanted to do to somebody else, you get it back. But now you get it back, not your children. So let's say you were a kohen. Yeah, you testify that this kohen is a ben grusha v'chalutza, automatically making him a halal. Right? Now, 1 second. We're going to make you into a halal. Chazak baru. So make you into a halal. But you wanted not only to make him a halal, you wanted to make him a halal, his children a halal, his children's children, and continue going. So then what? They're going to make you into a halal and your children. But 1 second. My children didn't do anything to become halalim. So you can't make my children halalim. So it means 1 second. If you can't do it to me, so we can't do kasher zaman then. Because I plan to do 100% to him, children, grandchildren, and they can't do that back to me. So because you cannot do kasher zamam, there's a general rule that if you cannot do kasher zamam means that which they plotted against somebody else. If you cannot give them exactly what they plotted to do against somebody else, what do? You give them lashes. So for bayadim zamim, even though usually, right, you're right, when there's money and lashes, you give them the money and not the lashes. Here, there are cases where there will be the lashes. When is that? Ben grusha mechalutza. Chovel bechavero nami ika lekayma. Also bechovel bechavero. Also you could have it. When do you have it? Let's say like what I did with Mordechai. I hit him, but it wasn't a sheve pruta. So in that case, I would get lashes and not money because there's nothing what to pay. It wasn't even a sheve pruta. It was nothing what to pay. So I get lashes. Why? I hit him. What are you hitting somebody? Yeah. By the way, this can actually happen. I did hardly, I was very Rahman on him. You understand? But sometimes you can punch a guy. He gets up. He goes back to work the next day. Everything normal. There was no real, it wasn't worth anything. You understand? It wasn't really. So therefore, if it was not Shaveh Pruta, you also still get the lashes. Also by the sister, Achota Bugeret. If the sister is a Bugeret, there's no knas. If there's no knas by a Bugeret, because remember, Bugeret means that after 12 and a half, it's only by a Nara. It's 12 and a half. She's already a bogeret. There's no knas. So there's no knas. You get lashes. So in every single case, it still makes sense. Okay? So Amar lecha Rabbi Yochanan comes and he says, Hai tachat ashrina. So if so, right? So Rabbi Yochanan is going to answer, what's the tachat? This tachat ashrina mi baile lech lebaye. You need it for a baye. Why? The Amar Abaye, but Abaye says, it says in the pasuk, what does it mean that you have to give to the father of the Nara, 50 kasef tachat ashrina, that you afflicted her? He says, Hai tachat ashrina, miklal de'ika boshet ubgam. It's mashma that you have boshet and begam. What does it mean, boshet ubgam? It says, we learn from here that besides the tashlum of the knas, which you're paying and everything, you're going to be chayav on boshet ubgam. What is boshet ubgam? Right? Just like on any type of chovel bechavero. Right? What is the boshet ubgam? The embarrassment, right? And the begam, and the defect. Right, so therefore it's mashma from here, right? The Ogman Nefesh, that's the thing. So he says over here like this: what do I need tachat asherina? Tachat asherina is that we learn from here that besides the knas, you also have to pay boshet ugam. Just like any chovel bechavero. That means violation, right? No, it's on top. So violation is not only just a knas, a penalty. It's a penalty, embarrassment, and defect. Right? Why defect? Because now everyone knows this is a family that they got violated. It's like it's a low. Think about it. What did the brothers of Yaakov do? The brothers of Yaakov, boom, they killed out the entire city. And said it was not the ula, but ula nafkale. He learns right from this concept. Nafkale midrava from Rava. Rava says it's written that you have to give to the father of the nara 50 kasef. Hanat shchiva is 50. The nat shchiva is 50 kesef. But there's mashma that there's other things as well. What is that? Boshet ugam. So you see from here that there's going to be a boshet ugam that has nothing to do with the 50 kesef. Okay, so therefore that's why that means basically Rabbi Yochanan couldn't use the gzira shava because he learned it something else. What did he learn? That besides knas, there's boshet ugam. And ula, that he does learn the gzira shava, he says you learn it from the pasuk itself. But since the pasuk says v'natan ha'isha shechuvim alav yineh 50 kasef, the 50 kasef is for the shchiva. But there's other two things. Boshet ugam has nothing to do with the 50 kasef. There's that's separate. Rabbi Elazar says edim zomemim mamona meshal memim kalolake mishum de la bnei atranim. Do you know that edim zomim they always pay money and they don't get lashes because you cannot give them hatra, right? Because usually in order to give lashes you need a warning. Here you can't give them a warning. So Amar Rava comes and he says Teida, you should know nitre bewema. When are you going to give them a warning? Nitre bewema. If you're going to give them a warning at the beginning, Amni, they're going to say Ishtalyan, right? When we actually we forgot the warning. Nitru bewbesham masef. You're going to warn them at the time of the action. Parshev lo masade. Then it's like what Mordechai said before. They're going to separate. They're not going to testify at all because they start getting afraid, right? Imagine right now, they come and they start scaring you so much at the time of judgment, of the time of testimony. You're going to say, you know what? I just prefer not to testify. They're going to give you at the end, it's already too late. Meaning they can't give you a warning after the fact. So for when are they going to give you the warning? So because of that there's no warning, that's why you always pay and you don't get the lashes. So Matkifla Abai comes and he asks a question. Okay, fine. Do a talk dibur, which means first let them testify, and a second after the testimony you give them the warning. Because since it's still talk dibur and he still didn't finish, so therefore it's still considered one entity, right? So Matkifla Ravacha, right? Bereder Ravita. Also the opposite. Warn them at the beginning. Tell them at the beginning of everything, by the way, you guys should know that if you testify falsely, this is going to happen. You get lashes. And then in the middle, right when they're going to start the testimony, now you give them the hint. And the hint already, they can't tell you anymore, I forgot. Because you just hinted it to them again. Meaning that you already gave him the warning mefurash at the beginning. Right? He took oaths and he did everything in the beginning. And now right before that, you already hinted him again. He can't say he forgot. So answers the Gemara. He says, no, it's true. If you're going to tell me that edim zomim they need atra, if we're not going to warn them, we're not going to kill them, does it make sense that if they want, they could come and kill without atra, but they need atra? How does it make sense? Yeah, how does that make sense? Right? The edim zomim, they wanted to kill without atra. Now, they need hatra to be killed? What are these? Remember, what are edim zomim? Edim zomim are false witnesses. False witnesses means that they came to the Bedin and they testified that you went and you killed someone. And it was false. So now 1 second. Did you ever get a warning? You didn't get a warning. They went and they testified you killed. So you didn't need a warning and you were going to get killed. Now you have to give them a warning. Right? They didn't. The plot was that you're going to get killed without a warning. So therefore, obviously not. So Matkif la Rav Sama, Rav Yirmiyah comes and he asks the question, that you can't do kasher zamam. They buy atra, so then there at least do atra. Right? Why? Because if you remember, we already explained that you get the makot because you can't do the kasher zamam. So Amakra, the pasuk says, Mishpat echad yelachem, Mishpat echad kulam. No. It's always the same loss. Meaning it's not going to be that some edim zomim need atra, some don't. They're all the same halachot. All edim zomim are the same halachot. You can't say, no, this one needs atra, this one doesn't need atra, this one, no. It's either they do or they don't. Okay? So Rav Shisha bered Rav Idi Amar. Rav Shisha, the son of Rav Idi says, also if somebody is going to hit his friend, he pays and he doesn't get lashes. From here, It says in the pasuk, imagine right now you have two men which are fighting, and they start fighting, and all of a sudden they hit a pregnant woman, and she had a miscarriage because of it. Says we're actually having the kavanah that one of them wanted to kill the other guy. It wasn't just an argument. One guy really meant wanted to kill the other guy. It says in pasuk, what's the case? If you're going to tell me now that they didn't actually have a warning on my mikta, right? So then why are you going to kill him? Right? That he comes and he says that he gave atra. What does it mean atra? He went and he warned him. So if you're going to be mutre for something which is stringent, you're automatically mutre for something which is kal, which means it is. If I give you a warning on something stringent, automatically that warning also applies to something which is lenient. So Amar Rachbanan, the Torah says, which means that if the woman didn't die, he just has to pay the money. So you see from here that even though he was going to be Chayam Malkut because of Lo Yosef, nevertheless, the Torah says you have to pay the money, not get lashes. So Matkif Ravashi comes and he asks me, how do you know that if I give you a stringent warning, you're also warned for something lenient? Meaning if I come and I give you a warning, don't kill this person, because if not A, B, C, so then if you hit him, you're already warned, because I gave you the stricter warning. How do you know that? So he says, maybe it's not true. If you're going to tell me it is, how do you know that death is more stringent than lashes? So says the Gemara, 33b, maybe they meant lashes is more strict. The Rav says, do you know that they went and they threw Harana Mishal Vazariah into the furnace, right, into the fire? But, right, if they would have come and they would have been flogged, they would have been hit, lashes, they would have bowed down. So says the Gemara, right? So therefore, what do you see from here? So you see from here that lashes is worse than death. They were willing to die, but they weren't willing to get lashes. So says the Gemara, Amarlei. So he comes and he says, Amarlei Rav Sama bered Ravisi l'Ravashi. Amarlei something Rav Sama bered Ravashi l'Ravashi. What are you talking about? It all depends on the amount. Meaning like this, right? For us, you give them 39 lashes. There's an amount. So he's willing to take it. There, they could have just given them millions. You understand? So there's a big difference. Meaning, obviously, if it's, you have to remember, it happened in the Inquisition and happened other times as well. They used to torture people until they said yes. Just that way, they just killed them. They used to torture them to death. So they'll admit to anything that you want, because they couldn't take it anymore. They couldn't take it. Yeah? So Matkif la Rav Yaakov min Pekod. So Rav Yaakov min Pekod comes and he asks the following question. Hani chal Rabbanan de Amri. I understand according to the rabbis that they said nefesh mamash. What does it mean nefesh? When it says v'imar son yeh v'natata nefesh tach nefesh, the parasha is talking about that you have to actually kill him. So the Torah is actually telling you mamash, you killed the guy. So then it makes sense. Ela l'Rebbi damar mamon, but according to Rabbi that he said it was man. Michael the man, what are you going to say then? So Rav Yaakov min Pekod. So Rav Yaakov min Pekod says name of Rava mehacha from here. It says in the pasuk that what happens if you have two friends that they're fighting, right? Or not two friends, two people that they're fighting. One person hits the other guy, and he doesn't die, but he falls to the bed. So if he gets up and he starts walking on his cane, and he come, okay, so now he's patur from chiyuv mita, which means that if afterwards he dies, he's going to be patur. Are you going to tell me now that this guy gets up, he's going to the shuk, walking around, and the other guy's going to get killed? Doesn't make sense. But rather, we lock him up in the jail. Now, if the guy dies, where you kill him. If he doesn't die, so then so then he has to pay for all the damages and he has to pay for everything else. So what's the case exactly? If they didn't warn him, why are you going to kill him? Obviously, they did give him a warning. So if you're going to have a warning for a stricter punishment, you're going to be warned for a lighter one. The Torah says you're going to have to pay. So therefore, why? So you see from here, the chovel bechavro, he pays and he does not get lashes. So that's what we learn in Furash from the pasuk. He pays and he does not get lashes. So Matkif Ravashi comes and he asks the following question: how do we know that if you're going to be warned on a stricter punishment, it's going to be considered a warning on the lighter punishment? Maybe it's not true. Maybe you're going to tell me Havi that it is. How do you know the death is more stringent? Maybe Malkut is stringent. The Amar Rav says, If they would have come and they would have given you lashes, they would have served the Avodah Zarah. So Amaleh Rav Sama brother of Yasser Ravashi says Rav Sama, son of Ravasi, Ravashi. The Amaleh, some people say Rav Sama the Ravashi, the Ravashi. Didn't we already tell you that there's a difference between Hakash Yishla Kitzvah, Lakash Yishla Kitzvah? It all depends how much are you going to give them lashes. If you're going to come and you're just going to give the guy makot until you're right, he would have served the idols. But if it was only just going to be a certain amount, maybe you could withstand it. Okay? So Matkif la Rav Mari comes and he asks the following question: how do we know that here when it says Vikai Chetreu, we're talking about b'mezid? And when it says V'nika Makeh, when it says that he's clean, it means Miktala, that he's not going to get killed. Dilma b'shogeg, maybe meant he hit his friend by accident. Right? He hit his friend by accident. And then he's going to go to the Yom Miklat. V'nika, when it says V'nika, he comes and he's clean from Malkut, from Galut, sorry. He doesn't go to the exile. Right? And then he's chayav to pay the money. But Be'emet, if it was for Mita, he does galashes. You understand? Meaning maybe Be'emet it was by accident. He went and he didn't realize the guy was behind him. He turned around, boom, and he gave the guy a thing in the elbow in the face. And the guy, it was an accident. It wasn't done purposely. And then Be'emet, he would have been chayav galut. That's why we put him in jail, to make sure whether he's going to go to galut or not. Right? He killed by accident. So says the Gemara, Kasha, you're right. That's a very good question. We don't have an answer. Okay? Next, Reshakish says, Hamani, who's the one that says that our Mishnah is different when it says, right, that the Bala Choto is going to pay the knas. If a person has relations with a sister, he has to pay the knas. So the Bimidi. The Amar Lokeh Shalem. The Bimidi says you get both lashes plus pain. So therefore, our Mishnah could be a Bimidi. You get lashes plus you have to pay, and then it makes sense. Okay. So it says the Gemara, eat a Bimidi if it's a Bimidi, afilu bitonami. So then even if it's his own daughter, right? That means even though he's going to be chayav mita, because in all these cases, right, it was karet. Here, it's even if this person is going to be chayav mitah, it should be the same thing, right? And if you're going to tell me according to Rabbi Lokeh mishalem itle, only if you get lashes and you pay, then yes. But metu mishalem le, but he doesn't hold with this concept of dying and paying, right? Lo, but then we learned in a brayta. Ganav etavach b'Shabbat. If a person comes and he steals and he slaughters the animal on Shabbat, right? Ganav etavach, or he comes and he steals and he slaughters it for avodah zarah. Ganav shor niskal, or he stole a shor niskal, which is a surbana. You're not allowed to benefit from this shor that has to be stoned. Udvacho, and then he slaughtered it. He does have to pay 4 and 5 times. These are the words of Rabbi Meir. Now, in all these cases, he's going to be chayav, even though he's chayav on the tvicha. Right? He's slaughtered on Shabbat. He's Mechalel Shabbat. He gets killed on Shabbat. He's slaughtered for Avodah Zarah. He's going to be killed because of Avodah Zarah. So you see from here that Rabbi Meir holds that even if a person is killed, he still has to pay. That means Rabbi Meir holds that a person will be killed and still pay. A person will be lashes and he'll still pay. So Hayit Manalai was stated on this. Amar Rav Yaakov, Amar Rav Yochanan, says Rav Yaakov named Rav Yochanan. Amar Rav Yirmiyah, Amar Rav Shimon ben Lakish, something that says Rav Yirmiyah, Amar Rav Lakish, Rav Yavin, Rav Yav, Rechol Kol Tamishmin Rav Yochanan. No, somebody else did it. Meaning that he sent somebody else to do the tvicha. So it comes out that the person that stole was not Mechalel Shabbat, or he was not Mechalel Avodah Zarah, and he wasn't Chayav Mitah. So since he wasn't Chayav Mitah, that's why he has to pay the Tashumei Arba v'Chamisha. But if he himself did it, so then Rabbi Meir would agree to Kim Lev Rabba Mina. So you get a stricter punishment and you don't have to pay as well. Okay? Ask the Gemara, can somebody else sin and you're going to be Mechayev? What does that mean? En shliach ledvar avera. There's no messenger for an avera. And therefore, you will never, how could it be that you're going to be chayav, right? On what? Somebody else stole it. Somebody else did the shchita. Why are you going to be chayav? So Amar Rav says, Amar Rahman, the Torah says, utzvacho mecharo. Just like mechira could be alidei davar acher, alidei acher. So to tvicha alidei acher, which means you learn from here, there's a special pasuk that it could be done through a third party and you're still going to be chayav. Just like the mechira could be done through a third party, so too the tvicha could be done through a third party, and you're going to be chayav. Tvicha, slaughtering. Okay, mechira is selling. So Tvei Bishvan Tanan Bishvan taught lerabot tashaliach. No, when it says the word o, it says utvacho umecharo, right? But the word umecharo is like o, tvacho mecharo, right? So that extra o is including a shaliach. But even if a shaliach is going to do it, you're still going to be chayav. Okay. When it says Chamisha Bakar Yishalem Tachat Ashor, the word Tachat comes to include the Shaliach. So here we have different reasons of how do we add that even though usually we say in Shliach Ledvar Avera, which means that there's no Shliach to do an Avera, Here we're adding in that there are circumstances where you will be chayav. When? Through a shaliach. And because we have different learnings, whether it's because of tachat, whether it's because of o, whether it's because of tevacho mecharo, juxtaposition, the proximity, right? Ayekesh. So matkif lamar zuta comes and he asks, I don't understand. Does it make sense that if you do it yourself, you're not going to be chayav the money? Why are you not going to be chayav the money? Because you get killed. But now if you do it through a shaliach, now you're going to be chayav the money? How does it make sense? How does it make sense? And now if a shaliach does it for you, now you are chayav. 5 minutes ago, if you did it yourself, you're not going to be chayav. How does that make sense? So answers the Gemara, no. You love it. It's not because you're not going to be chayav. You are chayav. But we give you a stricter punishment. Right? That's why. It's not that you're not chayav. Be really bemet, you are chayav. But here it's a special deen because we give you the stricter punishment, but not because you're not chayav. You are chayav. So it's not that you did it, you're going to be patur, and now the shliach tazi is going to be chayav. No, you yourself, you're also chayav. You just get a stricter punishment. So if you're going to tell me now that it was done the tvicha, the slaughtering through somebody else, what's the reasoning of the rabbis? The rabbis say you're going to be patur from the Rabbi Chamisha, from paying back 4 or 5 times. Right? What's the reasoning why you're going to be patur? So it says the Gemara, man chachamim, who's the chachamim? Rabbi Shimon, it's Rabbi Shimon. Because according to him, when you do a shchita, which does not make it kosher to eat it, it's not considered a shchita. Except for here, since you did the shchita, whether it was on Shor Niskal, and Shor Niskal you can't eat it because it had to be stoned, or you did the shchita for Avodah Zarah, you can't eat it, right? So therefore, they hold that it's not considered a shchita. So since it's not considered shchita, you're not chayav and pay back the 4 or 5 times. 4 or 5 times, you're only going to be chayav if you hold like Rabbi Shimon, if it's fitting now to eat from it. If it's fitting to eat, but if it's not fitting to eat, there's no 4 and 5 times. So because of that, it was done in a way that you're not going to be chayav on the 4 and 5 times because, right, we said that it was not good a proper shchita, and that's why you're going to be chayav on tashlumei arba'a v'chamisha. Have a wonderful day.